Really quick, this is a plug for Mega Camp. I was here at 7 this morning, had it started. I'm taking notes, and if anybody's interested, have them. But wanted to share something fun. Gary has new stuff, and so this is just scratching the surface. But he talked about what stops us from getting from where we are to where we want to be, and he used the magic F word, fear, and he talked about it. But he said it starts off self-worth, self-identity, self-image, ego, and repetitions. And he said our self-worth is that unshakable belief that you are worthwhile. Self-identity, the conscious decision of who you want to become. Self-image, the mental picture you hold of yourself. Ego, the drive to promote you and protect who you are. And finally, the repetitions, proof that you are who you think you are. He spent a full hour this morning going over this stuff. Amazing slides. It'll be coming. But I imagine there'll be trainings. I would make it a point to plan now to go to family reunion in February when he will have this more fleshed out, and he'll probably have a full session on it in one of the breakouts. Really good stuff. And so hope you guys take advantage of it. I haven't had a chance to even go through all of my notes yet.
Awesome.
So, great stuff.
Awesome. Thanks, Dean. All right, we are going to turn the time over to Courtney. This is Commercial is Closer Than You Think. Give it up for Courtney, our one and only.
Oh, thank you. Oh, I think yes, I need that.
Okay.
I have this.
You may be good on this. Just
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know. Yep. Okay. Sorry, I need my phone so I can know what time it is.
not this.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Hey, everybody. I'm so glad to be here today. Yeah, we're going to talk about commercial. So, I know. Is anybody excited about that? I'm excited about that. Okay. So, oh geez, you can't see that slide very well. Maybe you have to look at this one. So in the last 12 months, has a client asked you about any of these things? So raise your hand if a client has asked you about any of those questions. All right. That's like almost everyone here. So, and I would guess some version of us, what do we say usually when somebody asks us that question? I don't do that. Okay, we ask more questions. I like that. But most of us here probably say, I don't do that, right? And we just kind of drop it and leave it at that. And they just go on their merry way and maybe find a commercial broker somewhere to help them, right? Last year, this is KW Commercial national numbers for 2025. Last year, KW Commercial closed 29,306 transactions nationally. That's $14 billion of commercial real estate. And in our region, this year, 2026, from January to now, we have 16 agents in the division who put points on the board this year, over 37 transactions, and the whole state. So that's not a story of how hard commercial is, really. It's a story about how few people are actually doing it within our KW network. And I want to point out that the numbers that we're tracking for KW Utah region are the numbers from people who are part of the KW commercial community. If you are doing commercial and you're not part of the community, your sales are not being tracked, right? They're not being counted. So that we're going to get to that, right? So in the numbers that I'm going to show you with the Utah division, sorry, somebody was trying to call me. The numbers that I'm going to go over with the Utah division, there might be other commercial sales from agents that are not on this list, okay? So some of you are here because maybe you want to get into commercial. Some of you are not really interested in commercial, and that's okay. But maybe you're here because you want to stop giving away commercial business that you already have and find out a way to maybe get paid on that, right? And we're going to talk about that today. So I'm going to show you how to find commercial in your database that you already have. You do not have to create a new database of commercial people, right? Because they're already there. They're already in your database. And we're going to go over how to find it, how to know when to hand it off. And at the end, I'm going to tell you about a $5.5 million listing that started with a man and a toothbrush bag. So we'll get there. So here is what everybody in the room pictures when I say commercial, right? Big, tall building, glass tower, $100 million deal, and maybe a guy in a suit. I know Ryan Serhant, he's the $1 million agent who does residential in New York, but that's kind of what you picture, right? When you picture your commercial sales guy, man in suit, big C-suites, right? But what? Or a woman in a business suit. Yeah, exactly. So some of that is definitely true. But someone in our network, in the whole national, they closed one deal last year, single transaction at $270 million. That's kind of a big deal. We had a $470 million top producing agent in volume. That's pretty cool. Let's do that division. So take $14 billion and divide that by 29,306 closed transactions. What's the math on that? 14 billion divide by 29,306. What? 478,000, roughly, right? So the average Keller Williams commercial transaction in the United States was $478,000. 14 billion in volume, 29,306 closed transactions. That's basically a house. In Utah, if you take from January to now, in the amount of volume that we've done, divide that by the amount of transactions, our average is 1 million. So Utah region is actually doing better than the national average. We're double, right? That's pretty awesome. So, okay. Sorry. So why commercial real estate? Why did I get into commercial real estate? I have a great residential business. I still do. The bulk of our business is, well, actually, we're about 50-50 now in residential and commercial, but I love what I do on the residential side, but commercial real estate has always intrigued me. And Ben and I, when we've owned a construction company for many years. When we first got married, I think we opened our first construction company when we were what? 25, 26, something like that. And most of our projects that we built were commercial or special purpose type buildings. We didn't really build that many houses. And so that commercial has always kind of been part of our blood. We've just been interested in that realm. And a few years back, when we were building our team, Ben was like, I really love new construction. Obviously, he's a builder. And I really like commercial. And I want to learn more about commercial because I just see possibility for us in that sector. So he started doing a bunch of classes. He started getting mentoring. And about that time, shortly after, we were downtown showing a rooftop. I think this was during COVID, actually. We were showing a rooftop townhome. to these out-of-state clients, and we met this cute young girl, and she was showing us around, and at the end we're like, oh, this is really cool. Like, how did you get this gig as the builder's agent? I mean, she looked like, I don't even know, 22, 23, less than 25. And we were like, dang, girl, get it, you know? And she's like, oh, I'm not the agent. I'm the developer. And Ben and I looked at each other and we're like, okay. And so we're like, tell us more. You know, how did you get into this? Blah, blah, blah. And I thought, well, maybe she's like legacy. Maybe, you know, she just works for mom or dad, you know. No, she actually had graduated from the University of Utah from the MRED program, Masters of Real Estate, Masters of Real Estate and Development. And I was like, what is this? Never heard of this, and I need to know more. And so for me, that was like a light bulb for me. And I'm like, I have to do this program because we know how to sell real estate. We know how to build real estate, but our dream had been to develop these big multifamily projects, but we had no idea how to put the pitches together, where to get the financing, any of that. And so I would say on a whim, I was thinking about it for a couple of months, and literally the night that the applications were due, I was actually up in Dean's office. Ben and I had that office at that time. And like at 5 o'clock, I hurried and did my quick video that I had to send, filled out the application, submitted it, got in, and started the program in the fall with actually Casey. Front row here. So we went through the cohort, through the program together in the same cohort. Anyway, while we were in that program and Ben was learning commercial, we also had this, we're like, we want to open up a branch office in Eagle Mountain. Like, what are we thinking? We just want to do everything. And so we opened up a little branch office in Eagle Mountain. And we were in our office working one day, and in walks this guy with a bag of toothbrushes. And we'll get there. I'm not going to tell you the whole story yet. So what I want you to know is Ben and I, we both practice residential real estate. We both practice commercial real estate. We own a development company. And also, I am the Keller Williams Commercial Regional Ambassador for Utah, for this region, which means that part of my job is to help grow the division. Okay. I didn't go into commercial because it's easier than residential. I went in because the work compounds, and I'm going to show you how it compounds in just a little bit. All right, so let's move on to our region. So Utah region, I get these statistics because of being the regional ambassador. And so they send me these numbers every quarter. And so this just gives you an idea of what's going on in the state from 2026 to now. You can see retail, we had 11 transactions, 10.1 million in volume, hospitality 8, 17, and on down. Notice retail, we have more transactions, but we have more volume and hospitality. Retail's a great asset class to be a part of. That's one that Ben and I do a lot of work with. Office, you can see, is kind of low. So that could maybe be an opportunity for someone who wants to get involved in office. Let's see. But I want you to jump to the bottom. So 10 of 37 transactions were leases. 10 of 37. 4 of 37 were referrals. So in order to be counted as giving away a referral, you do need to be a part of the Keller Williams commercial community. And we're going to talk about that and how to get involved in that. But 4 of those were referrals. So 4 people out of the state of Utah didn't actually do the deal, but they got paid. And they gave it to one of the other commercial agents in our region. And in our office alone, 5 commercial transactions were sold, And those were done by 4 of our agents. And I think we're all here today. I think Randy's here. You closed one. Ben closed one. Susie and Joey, right? I think you did a land deal, right? Yeah. So there you have it. So how many people are in this room? There's opportunity, right? For us. So all right, so signals. Here's the thing that nobody tells you. You're not prospecting for commercial. I mean, you can be if that's like your full business, but like as a residential agent, generally you're not prospecting for commercial deals, right? You already have a pipeline of people and maybe you just haven't sorted them. So let's go through these signals in your database that maybe you can start to tag people and start getting those wheels turning. How could I help them? Or how can I refer them to somebody within our region who can help them, right? So that you can, if you know of the different commercial deals in our office and you know of somebody in your pipeline, you can say, oh my gosh, that's cool. Randy has this land deal down in southern Utah County. I know somebody who might be looking to build on that. Or he has an industrial space, or we have a medical office or something. You can get paid on helping those get sold. So one, they own a business, not just a house. We help a lot of people and we're helping them buy houses, but a lot of the people that we help actually own businesses, right? So every business owner either has a lease renewal coming up, maybe they're looking to expand, maybe they're wanting to purchase. Most of them are paying rent to somebody, and maybe they haven't run the numbers on what it will look like if they actually own the building. Okay. 2, maybe they own more than one property. So they have rentals. Usually when they get to that point and they're looking for rentals, they're not so much based on emotion. They're looking at the numbers, right, of the deal. 3, they might own some land or their parents do. Excess acreage, inherited parcel. The lot was always going to be something someday, but it never happened, and now they need to sell it. Land was 3 of 37 deals that were closed this year in our region. Okay, 4, maybe they're moving, expanding, or hiring. And the last one is they're a professional with a practice. Okay, that could be doctors, dentists, veterinarians, attorneys, accountants, practices that need buildings. And these types of people, they're usually long-term. And oftentimes they want to own the building that they're in, right? They can do like an owner, they can get some deals on financing with SBA that way. Okay, so remember number 5. So we're going to do something. I want you to open your phone. I know, I'm asking you to pull out your phone in team meeting. Open your phone, and I'm going to give you 90 seconds, and I want you to open up your contacts list, and I just want you to take 90 seconds and look through your contacts and find 3 people who might fit one of these categories. 3. 90 seconds, go. It's a long 90 seconds. Maybe 15 more seconds. Okay, raise your hand if you found 3 people. Okay, who found more than 3 people? Keep your hands up. More than 10. Okay. Amazing. So see, case in point. There's people already in your database who fit one of these categories. How can you help them? So let's talk about when to lead, when to support, and when to refer. Okay. When I say lead, that means you run the deal, and that requires some training and some time. Support, maybe you're doing the deal along with somebody else who's got a little bit more experience. They're a specialist and you're co-brokering on that deal. Or lastly, you're going to refer it and you're just going to hand it off and get paid. And also keep the client relationship along the way. Commercial is not a yes or no decision. And let me tell you what I mean by that. So, the handoff test. When to bring a specialist in, okay? These are the questions that you need to ask yourself, and you need to be really honest because you want to do the best thing for your client, right? And sometimes the best thing for your client is to maybe help them, and sometimes it's to refer, okay? So can I explain how the commission structure is structured on this deal type? And Ben asked me this question. He's like, why would somebody need to know that? And I was like, well, a lot of people don't understand how leases get paid. And so if you don't even understand how the lease gets paid, should you be doing the deal if you don't know how the lease gets paid? You know, so, and I'm meaning that in a nice way. And you can ask questions for sure. And maybe on your first one, you could do it as, you know, or first couple, you could do it in a support role, or maybe you just hand it off at first and just learn. But another one is, do I know what the due diligence period actually covers here? In commercial transactions, the due diligence is a lot more complex than in a residential deal. And there's certain extra inspections that you need to know to get through. So do you know all of that? Can I speak to the market rate or the cap rate without guessing? Maybe you don't even know what that means, cap rate. And so cap rate, if you don't know what that means, probably you should hand it off, right? And it's not to say you can't learn, right? But there's steps of getting into commercial. Okay. Or do I understand the timeline? And can I set expectations that my client will trust? Commercial deals often take longer than just a standard, 30 to 45 days. Some can be like 6 months out or even longer, depending on the type of deal that is going on. I mean, there's some land deals that could take long time. And that's the other thing about commercial. It is not fast money. Okay, and if this goes sideways, do I know how to protect my client? So if there's a no here for you, there's nothing wrong with a no, right? Is something wrong with a maybe though, because we're looking out for the client, right? So maybe that maybe means I need help. All right. As the regional ambassador for KW Commercial, part of my job is actually to help you determine whether it's a lead, support, or refer. So if something comes up and you're like, I don't know, call me. I'll talk it through with you and I'll give you some suggestions because each of us kind of specialize in something different. So I may not be the right person to help you on the commercial deal. I might say, you know what, actually Randy's the best person for that, or Susie's the best person for that, or Amy Kendall's the best person for that, right? Or hospitality, probably no one in our office. We'll go to South Valley and we'll talk to Trent. Okay, I'm like blinking here for a second. Okay, so call me. All right, so let's talk about the toothbrush bag. So let's see, how many years ago was this? 4 years? About 4 years ago, when we had our little branch office in Eagle Mountain, we were hanging out and in walks this dentist and he's passing out his toothbrush bags. He was doing some marketing. He had just opened a dental office around the corner from us and we get chit-chatting and he kind of looks around. He didn't even know what kind of business we had at first, but we had a bunch of, our KW real estate signs on the walls. And he's like, wait a minute, you guys are realtors? We're like, yeah. And he goes, do you want to lease up my building? Yeah. And that's how that went. Now, I want to preface that with, at that time, Ben had been doing a lot of, classes and studying. I was in the MRED program. We had mentors that we could rely on for help. It wasn't like we just did it on our own without support, right? We were actually supported when we started down this path. So we helped him eventually lease up his building. So he was an owner user. He started a dental office. This whole side is the dental practice, Lake Mountain. He had 3 additional spaces available. We leased up this one, which is Papa John's, and then we leased up these 2 to Pre-Loved. While we were helping him, he said, oh, I have other dental practices and I own other buildings. And there's one in Eagle Mountain City Center that I own. I built the building, I started the practice, and I actually built it on 2 acres. And the dental office is on one side, and I want to subdivide it and sell the land. Do you want to do that? Yes. We ask more questions. So this is how Ben got involved, and he was helping with the entitlement process. As a builder, he understood that process, and as a developer. So over here is where Pony Express Dental is, and we had to divide it, go through the zoning process, work with the city to get it subdivided so that we could sell this. So I'm telling you all this to show you how commercial real estate compounds and how we got $11 million of business from one dentist walking through our office and asking questions. Okay, so we had this land listing then. And about that same time, I had another friend who said, hey, Court, can we go look at that spec home that you guys built, my husband and me? I was like, sure. So I take him down to Saratoga Springs, walk him through the house, and I didn't know it was a new husband. So I didn't really know him. And I was, just getting to know, I knew her, we grew up together. I didn't know him. So I was getting to know him. In this process, he's like, I really love this spec home, but I really just want to build. He's like, I'm a builder. And he's like, I've built tons of multifamily. I just want to build a house. And I was like, well, and then he's talking about how he's looked at a bunch of lots over in Highland and Alpine, and he just didn't want to spend $700,000 on a half acre over there. And gosh, I just wish I knew of some good lots. And I was like, well, actually, Ben and I know some lots over in Eagle Mountain that Ben and I have considered building on. And truly, if I were to build anywhere in Eagle Mountain, I would build there. I said, it's 1 acre. It's like $300,000. I told him the pros and cons and kind of why we hadn't moved on that land. Didn't like the access to it. Like once there's another road to it, it'll be better. But I was like, and I said, do you want to see it? Yes. All right, let's go. So we got in our car, we drove over to those two lots, or the lots. I showed him our lot, and then I showed him this other lot, our lot, meaning that's the one we wanted to buy. They called me later and they said, hey, Courtney, we're really sorry, but we want to buy the lot that you like, and we want to buy the lot next to it. I was like, cool, let's do it. Boom, cash deal. At the same time, he said, oh, and my business partner and I are wanting to build some medical retail space. Do you know of any land? Actually, yes. This. Took them out. Ben represented them on the sale. I represented them on the purchase. Yes, we disclosed that we were married. And that brings us to this. So it's under construction still. I haven't had new pictures taken, but they said, okay, help us buy the land. You'll be our leasing brokers and we'll have you sell it once we stabilize it. Cool. So we got the whole main floor. IHC primary care is coming. We have upstairs, we have a reach counseling, and we have 1,450 roughly square foot still available. So if you know anybody who wants to expand their business in Eagle Mountain City Center, there's some space available right here. Let us know. Okay, once it's fully stabilized, based off of what we know we're going to get for rents, we'll have about a $302,000 net operating income, and we're asking $5.5 million. With the IHC anchor tenant, it does bring a little pretty penny. So if you know of anybody in your network who needs to buy a property by the end of the year for tax reasons, this is a good one. Let us know. Okay, from that, from this, it has led us, that is just one dentist, 2 buildings, about $11.5 million of real estate. So we have the Papa John's, the pre-love, the land listing, the land buyer, residential lot, the IHC, the reach lease, the one we still have available, and the listing. So 10 income events based off of one conversation. That's the power of commercial. From this, and I'm not even going to talk about how it's compounded in other ways, but it has. We have a land listing in West Jordan, and that leads us to another project that we're working on, which I'll come back to that one. This is our legacy project that we're building in Saratoga that we're taking pre-leases on, medical and retail building. So this is where now we're the sponsor, the developer, the builder, and the broker for this deal, which we will build to sell. So back to this, where could a residential agent could have participated in this? The lobby conversation, every single one of us could have had that conversation by just asking questions. 2, the original lease up, maybe that's something that you feel like you could have led. Maybe you feel like you maybe not support, or maybe you could just refer. Land sale, maybe refer. Residential lots, that's in your wheelhouse. You could have done that, right? And the last one, the medical office building lease up and sale, maybe any of those will work for you. For us, it took 10 years of building relationships and a graduate degree for us to be ready for. But that's going to lead us to another section. So I'm trying to wrap this up because I have a couple people I want to bring up to have a little quick questionnaire. So right here is our KW commercial community. You don't have to get a graduate degree to learn commercial. There is other ways that are, and Keller Williams has provided a pathway for you that is way less expensive and faster. So if you want to be part of Keller Williams commercial, our community, it's $199 a month. That includes Nucleus, which is a training program. It's fantastic. Monthly regional trainings. They have a RealNet CRM that's specifically for commercial type deals. We have Applied Foundations. That's another commercial training that's free. We have different specialty divisions. So we have, for all the different asset classes, there's trainings that you can do specifically for residential or hospitality or special purpose or whatever. We have a national network that we're on with 2,000 other commercial agents nationwide that we can lean on. So it's $199 to be a part of the community. Other costs that I pay for as a commercial agent, somebody who's going to do commercial like as a big part of their business, there are other fees. And most people don't tell you this part, they only tell you this part. So here, we pay an additional $326 a month for CoStar, which is CoStar / LoopNet. That's kind of like the MLS for commercial. We also pay $190 for Crexy, another platform. If we want to like boost listings, because on LoopNet and CoStar, you can put a listing up, but it might not be public. And to make it public, we got to pay so that everybody can see it. So that, there's a training that Ben did, 7 figures in 90 days. That was $10,000. Dale Donovan B, she's amazing. She's a mentor. She has a training program for $199 a month. And then you could also participate in Launch, which is kind of like a admin type service. And then you have to pay for all of your marketing and signs. And commercial signs are a little bit more expensive because they're big, right? So those are the fees. Now, $199 to count as, a referral under the Keller Williams commercial division. If you sign up for this, this is like step one. This is a great way to start learning about community, dipping your toe in. You can refer, use the network, get paid, start your training. Once you get a little bit more knowledge and you're like, hey, I think I could maybe do a deal. Maybe you want to get support. You can take the applied foundations, get on a deal, and then eventually you'll want to get into that lead position where then you're probably going to, well, not probably, you are going to want to add that expensive stack. Okay, we have a performance pathway, which a whole training pathway for you to get involved with. The first step is discover. It's free. We have a 1-hour training coming up on August 27th with Dale Donovan B. Scan this. You can be a part of it, learn about commercial. Then if you want to do the bridge, commercial bridge, there is a fee to that, and then on up. Okay, so to get started, register, finish your list. You wrote 3 names in 90 seconds, get it to 10. Call me. I want to invite Randy, Ben, and Susie up for just a quick Q&A for about 5 minutes, and then we can turn it over to our lunch special sponsor. Q&A. All right, so why don't you start? We'll start with Randy. Randy, tell us what you mostly specialize in and a quick how you got started in commercial.
Got to get to green. So my background is business. Used to own a sporting goods store in Orem for many, many years. And I served on the Economic Development Board for Orem City. I used to be in a buying association we're in. We did a little over $2 billion. I was on the board of directors, executive board of directors. So my background has always been in business. So I started out with Keller and did some residential, but with my connections and with my background, it just felt a lot better that I was possibly coming up with some solutions that I looked at it different from other residential agents or commercial agents. I wasn't just selling dirt. I actually could read a financial, I can read a pro forma, And so I had a background in business that was a little bit different. Um, it just felt more comfortable. I only do commercial. I refer my residential deals to residential agents because, again, I'm not an expert there. And the one thing that I would share that Courtney and everybody I think here would agree with is ultimately what you're looking for is you guys are specialists. And to give your clients the best service, you can't be a orthopedic surgeon and perform a crown as a dentist because the skill set's totally different. Even though they're both doctors, even though they have a degree in understanding, they're not really providing the best service to their clients. And so that's kind of the way we've looked at it. We do a lot of industrial, we do a lot of land development, and we also do the retail end in office. In fact, we just got a listing yesterday on 3 buildings, about 42,000 square feet of industrial. But we've got to go through and that knowledge and I think to take care of your clients really becomes different because on a residential, you've got forms to fill out, whereas in commercial, you get a blank piece of paper. They say, write it out an LOI. Well, okay, there's a blank piece of paper. You've got to figure that out because every deal is different. There's not one that's the same. And so it becomes critical that you understand all those things. Courtney was talking about cap rates and different things. You've got to know the answers before they even ask the question. And if you don't, you're not doing a service to your clients. So anyway, that's a
Love
little
that.
background.
Thank you. Ben? Ben, tell us, I know you found value in the community, the KW commercial community. Tell us like why that's helped you.
Because we're all entrepreneurs here. We're not here to, I think something that goes really well with something that I'm learning about my, what is it, star sign, whatever. I'm an Aries. So I just plow forward. Yeah.
He doesn't ask questions.
Yeah, I don't ask a lot of questions.
I'm the pro who's like,
yeah.
don't do that. Slow down, stop.
Let's just get this done, right? And so in the community, it's just it's driven by yourself and you just got to move forward.
Yeah, so in KW commercial, it is, you really do need to be a self-starter. If you want to go to another, we are not saying this, but other brokerages have, in order to get started, this is a, what did I call it yesterday? It's like an apprenticeship type program to get into commercial usually, where you join teams and you have to split it multiple ways. Here at KW, we don't have to do that, but you do got to be a self-starter and you have to have some background and experience that will allow you to be able to move forward in commercial. You want to add anything else for Susie?
No, I mean, here's the thing. If anybody wants to get their foot in the door, come and talk to us. I'm more than happy to spend some time with you, like how I was able to do it. Before I really jumped into KWC, I was looking out to outside mentors. I didn't even know that there were KWC mentors. So after that one mentor, I started looking inside. Then I learned about Del Donovan B and Alicia Shepard and there is actually a ton of information that KW Commercial offers for those individuals who are wanting to get started.
And we mostly do retail, medical office, some land development, and a little bit of flex industrial. Susie?
Yeah. So
what about you?
I got started. Mine's a little bit different niche. So I sell churches. I am the church lady.
Visited church lady.
I know. There's not even a category for that. There's like all the other categories. There's not a church property one.
So I got started in it, and like Randy was saying, just kind of word of mouth, like as we were helping one, it just snowballed to another, to another, to another. And so we do that. And then some leases, of course, and some retail leases. So do a lot of churches, and very unique, very specific. And like these guys are saying, everything's so specific. I would say stay in your lane, but it's really important that you learn and kind of stay in a category or refer to somebody that's in that category. So
Yeah, love that. Any questions for any of us?
What is a religious building or church zoned in?
subbed in or self
Zoned. What's their zoning?
they can actually uniquely enough, they can pretty much go into any zone. But some of the cities are not as open as some of the other cities are. We just had one, I won't name the city, but we had quite it was quite a process to get it approved, and kind of down to the legalese, like, hey, we can have an attorney visit you because you're thwarting something that shouldn't be, that is open. So they're pretty much open to any residential zones are the easiest for them though. But we have some in have one right now that we're selling. It's in an office space, and then industrial flex space.
Interesting. Anyone else?
I'm new to Keller Williams, but I've done a lot of commercial in my previous life. And I just wondered, how does that fit in with you guys? I mean, how do I get on board with commercial? Do I just start from the beginning, or?
Yeah, you'll want to join the commercial community, which is $199 a month. And then just wherever else you want to go from there, we can chat.
Simple answers, talk to Courtney, and then
Sure.
to get you engaged in the
Yeah.
system. Yeah.
Anyone else? Awesome. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us today. And if you have any questions, reach out to any one of us. I know Joey's also in commercial, and oh yes, I forgot. Andrew is. Casey does commercial. Mike and did I say Amy? Amy Kendall. Let's see.
Say really quick, like commercial is there is so much potential there. I've spent the last like 6 months.
Sorry, we got to get you mic'd.
Yeah, I gotta get the mic in. I'll just say there's so much potential in commercial. I've spent the last like 6 months out of state actually, but doing commercial leases for one specific client. And in the last 6 months, I did like over $11 million in leases. So like
Dang.
there's a lot of potential in there. And the one client that I have, it specifically is a shared kitchen. So like for consumer packaged goods. So other companies will come as business to business. Other companies will come, well, of course, but other companies will come and like rent out a kitchen it's like an apartment complex, but for kitchens. So there's churches, there's retail, there's all kinds of different things that you never knew existed. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Do we have our lunch guy?
Yes.
Oh,
What up, Keller Williams?
or grab this.